את עמו. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו. Shalom, 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 Shalom. And so we welcome the Sabbath bride with the words of Lecha Dodi. You'll find these words on page 138. As we welcome the Sabbath bride, we turn to each other, we welcome each other, we bring in Shabbat, we bring in this sense of spirituality, this sense of calm, this sense of love and of joy. If God is love, what is it that we bring in? As we bring in and welcome the Shekhinah into our lives. Page 138. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה בואי בשלום עטרת מעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמונך עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לחתוני לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה לחתוני לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה יאיר הלילה 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 חתוני לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה לחתוני לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה. Would you read a paragraph of English for us before you begin? All the way from Perth. They have the same English there as far as I can tell.
I haven't got my glasses on, so I hope this works. As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generation of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Lovely. If you'd like a candle. They're trick candles, just so you know.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
Amen. And so just as we've welcomed the Shabbat bride and lit candles, so to turn to each other and welcome each other. Is there anyone who's come from further than Perth? Anyone further than Perth? No international guests today. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Page 140. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות, עליך סור בעלינה, ותראה היגיון וכינון.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך הנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. איש תורה לא ידע, וכסיר לא יבין עצות.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Adikatamat Yifrach Eretz Balvanon Balvanon Yizge Shetolim Bever Adonai Bechatrot Elohim Yafrichu Oryenu Leagid Yashar Adonai Turi Velo Avlatabo. Page 142. We sing the words of Shalom Aleichem. These words traditionally actually belong in the dinner or on the way home. As we go home, we are accompanied by these angels who bless our house and bless our week. May it be blessed as the Shabbat that we have prepared. Shalom Aleichem, page 142. May we be the messengers of blessing. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Toachem leshalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shalom Aleichem,
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvchem, Shuvchem leshalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shalom Aleichem,
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We rise for the Chatzi Kaddish and the call to prayer on page 144.
Yitzkadar v'yitzkadash
אמן.
והמן תברח ירוצה, וימליך מחוצה, וחייכון ויומכון, ובחייתך בית ישראל.
בעגלה, בעגלה, ובזמן הריב.
ואמרו,
אמן. יהי שמי רבם מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קודשה
בריחו
רגע מן כל בחטא ושירתה
תות שפחתה ונחמתה דמיר על בעלמה.
ואמרו
אמן.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Please be seated. If you'll join with me in the Hebrew on page 148. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המריב ערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אתה, תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם הגן יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר חנוכים מצווך היום הלבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו הציצית הכנף פתיר תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. If you'll join us on page 157 at the bottom of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say there is one God in heaven and on earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and your love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Page 158.
יהי כמוך באלים אדוני,
יהי כמוך בדרך הקודש, נורא צעירות עושה פלא, נורא צעירות עושה פלא, באריכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים,
Ya bam bam bim bidi bam, ya ba bam bam bim bam, ya bam bam bim bidi bam, ya ba bam bam bim bam, ya na 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 na, ya ba bam bam bim bam, ya na 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 na, ya ba bam bam bim bam.
ונאמר כברה אדוני יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל. השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום. והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים ולשלום ולשלום. השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אלוהינו לשלום ופרוס עלינו זוגת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אלוהינו Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal One, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts, eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Ashkivenu, Ashkivenu, Eloheinu leshalom.
Baruch ata Adonai haboreh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. On page 162, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat. This is our covenant for all time. And so we rise on page 164 for the Amidah, or the Tefillah, the standing portion of our service. As is our tradition, we'll chant the first three benedictions and then continue in silent prayer or meditation. Whether using the words of our prayer books or the words of our hearts, feel free to be seated at any point when you've concluded your personal prayer or meditation. Page 164.
Adonai sefetai tiftach ufi yagid tehillatcha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, עליון, גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיים איתי מטרה והושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיים מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים באמונתו ראשי עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ובטוב מלך, מלך מתוך חיה ומשמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני וחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך הקדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
יהי לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. Adonai tzuri v'goali, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Thank you. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Tal back to our pulpit. Tal Spinrad has been an educator and a storyteller, is the Kulanu project manager for the United Jewish Education Board, better known as UJEB, a Jewish educator with close to 4 decades of international experience. He combines the passion of Ezekiel with the humor of Mel Brooks. I like that. Tal is an inclusion advocate, creating dynamic and engaging programming and acting as both support and resource for those with disability and spectrum community. And we welcome Tal back to this pulpit to share a few words.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Well, I have nothing to add. Thank you very much. This is a Jewish mom taking her son for a walk on the beach, as some Jewish moms do. And they're walking on the beach, it's a very lovely day, but this huge wave comes and sweeps her son out to sea. And she's beside herself. She can't believe, she is devastated. He's nowhere to be seen. There's no one around. And he's out there, he's underwater somewhere, and she gets to her knees, she says, please, please, God, please, he's my only son, please, he's my life, please, please, please. All of a sudden, a wave comes, spits him out onto the beach. Of course, the mom is incredibly thankful. She can't believe it. She runs over, gives him a hug, kisses him all over, kisses and says, oh, God, thank you, thank you, thank you. And she sticks back and looks at him, and looks up and goes, but he had a hat. Two things from this story. One, we have a very strange relationship, us Jews, with the Almighty. And two, people, everyone, have different, unique, strange, yet powerful responses to trauma. The reason why I bring that up, I'll bring up the reason why I bring it up, and can you guys give me like a 2-minute warning before I run over? Who knows who I'm going to run over, but 2-minute warning, right? As part of my job with the Kabbalat Project, which is a subsidiary of not Kraft, but a subsidiary of the United Jewish Education Board, is that I'm the wing, we are the wing for inclusion, for disability advocacy, awareness, for all the marginalized and divergent communities that live within the Jewish community. One thing I do is I teach at specialist schools. I go in, I do half-hour musical programs in Hebrew engagement. I do professional developments in Jewish day schools and other schools around for autism awareness and stuff like that. And one of the last things I've been doing recently is going out in communities and seeing what we can do about stigma. Because folks, it's 2023, and there's still a lot of stigma out there about people who are different, about people who have mental illness, people with disabilities. And this stigma, still to this day, forces families to closet their kids or closet family members. And they become isolated and they can't get the help that they need. And a lot of this stigma stems from unforeseen consequences of sometimes how we tell and experience ancient narratives. And to stay with the program, this is how I'm hooking it up to Purim. Welcome to the party, folks. All right? Purim is a very interesting story. Some of it's very lighthearted, it's very heroic, right? Esther's a very heroic figure. But if we actually look at the black letter story, it becomes much more complex. What do we know about her origins? Very little, but I can tell you one thing, there's a black letter line. We get introduced to her by the text tells us Mordecai raised Hadassah. She is Esther. That's an interesting transition. He raised Hadassah. She is Esther. The Midrashes say that her dad died when her mom was pregnant with her, and she died in childbirth with Hadassah. And Mordecai was what we call an ancient tradition that I actually firmly believe is one of our greatest traditions that we should pick up again, is Mordecai was the redeeming relative. He was the go-to guy that was going to make sure that this kid, this newborn child, was going to be able to be raised. All right? She's orphaned at birth. Amongst the people who are orphaned as a people because we are now in Persia. We are orphaned from Jerusalem, from Israel. There's a lot of trauma going around. And Hadassah sees what, this is my take on it, what good has being a Hebrew, a Jew, done for us as a people and for me as a person. My parents are dead. They were good people. We're away from Israel. We don't deserve to be in exile. God is absent. And in fact, God is not mentioned in the book of Esther at all. Now, the rabbis say it's because the hidden, invisible hand of God. I say it's because the people finally said, we're going to take matters into our own hands. So Hadassah, going through all this trauma, her response to it is that I'm going to assimilate. I'm going to assimilate and live my life as a Persian. Esther is a Persian name. It is from, let me get it straight right, it is from stara, which is Persian for star. And yes, it might be something like Shushan has talent, right? Because she wants to grow up to be a star, a mover, a shaker. She is upwardly mobile like 2,500 years ago, more than that, right? She is becoming upwardly mobile. She goes and possibly manipulates herself getting into becoming queen. And when she becomes queen, am I so good? She becomes queen, there's no Haman on the radar yet. She is not doing this in response to a threat. She is doing it because she legitimately feels this is how she has to do her life. What a insight about not only post-exile, but post-Shoah, post-Holocaust. When we look at people who have wandered away from the tradition or wandered away from the belief in God, it's not such an unbelievable thing. It's a very human thing. Well, we know that Haman, thank you for not booing yet. Don't get ahead of ourselves, folks. You got a long stretch. You got all the way through Tuesday for the booing and the yaying. Haman comes around, and he's almost a cliche. Those people don't do the laws. Those people, they don't eat the same way. They speak a different language. They're different. All right? So he puts a proclamation out. And Hadassah is closeted. She's not known as a Jew or Hebrew. As queen, she's closeted. But she knows what's going on, right? She knows what's going on out there. And Mordecai's reaction is he rents his clothes, right? He tears his clothes. He puts on a sackcloth. He does the old school traditional Hebrew thing, right? Change the wardrobe, right? Hadassah, now Esther, hears about this, and do you know what her reaction is? It's black letter. She sends him a new outfit. People who go through trauma will do anything, and I don't blame them, but they will do anything to cloak the symptom so they don't have to look at the cause of the trauma. And that's what she's doing. The symptom is that her uncle, her redeeming relative, is in this state, and she's going to give him new clothes. But Mordecai doesn't take that and goes and tells her to approach the king. She says, I can't approach the king because the king will kill me. And this is the turning point in the entire book of Esther. Do you know what Mordecai sent? By the way, this is all through, people sending message. This is the first text exchange, right? I mean, my people are going to get in touch with her. Mordecai sends a message to her, and this is exactly what he says. Do not imagine in your soul that you will be able to escape in the king's palace any more than the rest of the Jews. For if you persist in keeping silent at a time like this, you will perish as well. And that shakes her to where she actually takes action. And she does. She goes and she does exactly what she could have done in the beginning proactively. And she presents herself from afar to the king. The king really loves her, and we all know what happens. God comes down and performs a miracle. No! Mordecai comes, does another decree where we get weapons and we off the people that are going to off us. That's the end of the story. The message is this. It has never been our way to create heroes. That is not our way. Because we believe being a human being with the arc of someone who can grow is the way that we learn how to actually walk through life. The more we try to create heroes in biblical figures, the more we rob them of their own humanity and robs us of messages and lessons we can have about people who are divergent. This is a story about PTSD. It demystifies post-traumatic stress disorder and allows us to talk about it in the present. So let's try, when we're having fun with Purim and having a big party, that's great. But when we sit down quietly at times, let's think about what this poor orphan girl went through and had to grow through in order to get where she was. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Yasher Koach.
Thank you.
I really enjoy each and every time that you have come and spoken to us. It's always good, and now I will go and write a different drush for tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Please rise on page 586 as we join together in our concluding prayers, the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We remain standing for a few more moments as we turn to page 598. In the words of Kaddish Yotom, we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. This Shabbat we especially think of Gary Hartman in the period of Shiva, in the period of Shloshim of Ken Ray, Donna Rogers, Morris Slonim, George Kegley, Darrell Ritter, and in the Yahrzeits which follow on this Shabbat and this week. Maurice Charcon, Marie Foy, Fritz Magid, Helena Penner, Sarolta Syrup, Hella Berman, Albert David Cron, Betty Perlman, Liaza Samuels, Jacob Tepper, Solomon Nathan, Betty Steen, Sarah Barsky, Rosa Abraham, Henya Shaw, Lewis Wolf, Ada Phillips, Elsa Fröhlich. We extend also our deepest condolences to the people of Turkey for the devastation brought by the recent earthquakes. And also Elan Ganeles, who was killed in an attack in Israel, and all those dying so needlessly in Ukraine. If there are other names, please call them out as I look around the room. Zichronam livracha, may their memories truly be for a blessing as we turn to page 598 and the words of Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach, leolam ulal me'almaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה ברכו לעילה מן קל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דא אמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. תהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all of Israel, and to all of humanity. And we say, Amen. Please be seated as David. Luke, come on down. He's sharing a couple of announcements from the Board of Governance.
Service at 10. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Temple Beth Israel acknowledges that the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples are the first peoples of Australia. The Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation are the traditional owners of the land on which Temple Beth Israel is located and which they have never ceded sovereignty. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present. On behalf of the President and Board, welcome this evening to those here and joining us online. Thank you, Tal, for that wonderful speech. It certainly made me think about Purim in a different way. You said that people who go through trauma will do anything to cloak the symptoms so they don't have to face into the cause. And you reflected that the Megillah is a story that helps us to demystify PTSD. They're two thoughts that I'd never thought of, and that they're very beautiful thoughts as well, so thank you very much. I'd also like to thank Idor and Sharon and Michelle, of course, for the beautiful service, and invite you to join us tomorrow for Parashat Hashuvah at 9 a.m, either in person or online, and then we have another service following that. There are also off-roofs for Ashley Chapman and Tom Allison, and Jeremy Lustig and Zoe Pinch. The most exciting thing over the next few days is the Kids Purim Carnival, and we're going to have jumping castles and face painting and a petting zoo and a Megillah reading, and a sausage sizzle, popcorn, fairy floss, and coffee for people that love coffee. Thank you very much to our kind donors for sponsoring that. On Monday, we also have a Purim service and the Elvis Megillah, which we're all very excited about, and feel free to dress as Elvis if you like and shake like Elvis, and that'll be a lot of fun. And then on Tuesday we have the reading of Megillat Esther. We're also looking for volunteers for various committees, and you'll hear a lot more about how you can get involved with TBI, and your support in any way is always welcome, and I'm sure we'd value that. Lastly, there's also going to be a festive meal catered by Falafel Omasi, who make brilliant hummus and wonderful falafel. They're on Hawthorne Road if you haven't been there, but you can actually taste their food here, which will be great. So I hope many of you can join us for that. And then, I'll conclude the announcements in a moment, but following, we have a brunch, lunch and learn in a fortnight where you can learn about various things. And there's a kiddish here after the service. For CSG tonight, we have Elliot and Leslie outside. They're volunteers. They're not members of the shul, but they're volunteering their time to help protect us. So please say thank you on your way out, and also return your prayer books and trolleys to the entrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. You'll be glad to know that was the abbreviated version of what's happening in the next couple of days and weeks. If you come back, you can hear the rest of the announcements. Tomorrow there's more. It's actually quite remarkable as we come back together as a community and we rebuild and re-establish all of the programming that we've done in the past. We're seeing all of the programming coming back. I'll invite you to stand as we join together for Kiddush. You will find at the back of the hall there is white, which is grape juice, and red, which is wine. I don't know if a couple of people at the back would like to grab some platters and share them around. That would be fantastic if you could. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחיל לנו זיכרון למעשה וראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים. And then the motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Amen. Shabbat shalom and betavon. See you tomorrow morning for Parashat Shavua, or for more insights into Megillat Esther, and 10 o'clock for services, or for Purim over the next few days. Shabbat shalom, everyone.